Welcome to Healing in Progress. On this episode of the Healing in Progress podcast, it's just me today. And I just want to do a little recap of what this season has been like so far. Because through episodes 1 through 6, I had the opportunity to sit down with some of my favorite people, some really fascinating people, but also people who have touched me along my healing journey. From episode 1 to episode 6, I've given you all the opportunity to listen to or watch some incredible healers, motivational speakers. And I can't wait for you all to see who I have planned for us next. But let's go back over the episodes, and I want to share some of my takeaways. Episode 1 was healing through transitions. That was my episode introducing you all to the podcast, giving you a chance to get to know me a little bit better. And for my first episode, it was terrifying for me. I named that. It was really uncomfortable for me to sit there and talk about what it was that I've been experiencing and feeling and why I even started the podcast, because I had recognized that I had constantly been holding space for everyone else, but never really gave myself a chance to hold space for myself. And it was sitting with my own voice and having to be unscripted and unmasked and just real and open that made me so uncomfortable, because I'm so used to having a polished image. I'm so used to having it all figured out, written down when I communicate so that I know what I'm saying or where the conversation is going. It was an experience that I needed to face, because for so long I feel like I've been hiding from myself. And I've even been hiding parts of myself from y'all for so long. And this felt like the opportunity to be able to strip myself of the mask that I put on for comfort and really unpack the discomfort I was experiencing with just having to sit with myself and talk to myself about what I was experiencing. From some of the comments that I've received, I've heard that that is a reflection of some of the listeners or watchers of the episode, that that's something that you also found yourself doing. It felt liberating for you to see me, someone who projects an image of strength, someone who would always project an image of having it together, sit here on this microphone, completely vulnerable, completely exposed and open, fully sharing myself in my full authenticity. It gave you a little bit of permission to do the same thing. And I'm so happy that it did. I needed that episode to propel me into what I am experiencing now, where I am in my healing journey. I needed to know what my vulnerabilities are and what areas I was hiding from before I could move forward. So thank you for being here along this journey and supporting me and seeing me where I am and being with me for where I'm going. Episode 2 was Healing Through Human Design with my friend Ilona Pamplona. And we had a chance to dive deeper into the human design of it all, what human design is, what my chart reflects, what her chart reflects, understanding how we all show up differently and how we're so programmed and wired completely different based on so many different systems, based on human design, astrology, I Ching, so many practices that kind of come together to help us see who we are so that we learn how to take a path that's more in alignment with how we are designed to function. That episode was really healing for me because I learned that I'm supposed to be invited before I step into things. And since then, I've been stepping back if I'm not receiving an invitation. I find myself still going, well, I want to jump in, I want to help, but I know my human design now, I'm supposed to be invited. So if you don't invite me, if you don't tell me you need help, I'm backing up. And I actually do that. And that's felt really good for me. I've taken on more of a observer role, which feels in alignment as well as a director role when I'm invited to do so. I've been being brought in for opportunities that I didn't even know were there waiting for me. All I had to do was let go. And I'm saying yes to those opportunities. I'm operating less like a generator, although I'm still searching for that yes, that full-bodied yes and joy for taking on responsibilities or experiences. I'm operating like less of a generator, understanding that my energy will run out if I'm not doing what is aligned for me. And even if I am doing what is aligned for me, I still need to give myself time, honor the sacred pause, rest, prioritizing rest. Something that I wasn't doing when I was operating in full burnout for so long, as though my energy could generate again. No, I'm a projector, and I know that about myself and now and how that shows up in my life in so many different ways. In episode 3, I had the beautiful Nina Bailey on with me to talk about healing through grief and loss. And that was such a powerful episode because it helped me understand deeper what the impact of grief has been on my life. How grief has shown up beyond just death, but also through the loss of friendships, also through the closing of businesses, also through the ending of particular relationships, just things shifting and changing. Whenever there is change involved, there's some type of mourning happening. And I felt so seen. I felt like I received so much. It was affirming to understand the relationship with death and loss and how we need to give ourselves grace to experience those things on our own time. Because everyone's not going to want to face grief and bereavement in the same way. Everyone's not going to want to face it at all. And it's important to respect people's boundaries and give them space to heal. I loved that episode. It gave me an opportunity to reflect on my father and his impact in my life. It gave me an opportunity to reflect on the closure of my business and how I knew I got a reading back in New Orleans last November. And she told me around May I was going to be mourning something. She told me to give myself time to allow myself to experience that grief. She also told me to go up to the mountains, connect with Obatala, get away from the people and get away from all the noise. And that's something that I have yet to do. So even in this episode, I'm reflecting on the fact that that's what I need to go do. So maybe in my next solo episode, we'll come back to that and revisit that and see what that experience was like for me. But she said, give myself time to grieve because things are going to be shifting. There's going to be a lot more traveling in my life. I was going to be blessed through this transition, but I would have to mourn it first. I feel like I had been mourning the shifting of my business for a long time, but it wasn't the closure of that capacity that I was so tied to. I wasn't mourning the change of the removal of it, of the storefront from my business structure, from my identity. I wasn't mourning that because I was still holding on to it so tight. And I've given myself time to mourn that, to allow me to see myself outside of that, to thank that experience for what it gave me, but also to accept that it's time to move on. It's time to find myself outside of that, outside of the identity, the labels, the connections to what I had built in that way. It was time to let that go. And understanding how grief shows up and how it can evolve over time. I'm learning that this is a process, that I'm still going through the process. I'll have to continue to reflect on what it looks like when I feel like I'm stepping back into that overcommitment, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day type of energy. That's part of my healing process. So I give myself grace to allow grief to take as much time as it needs with that. But I feel like I'm in a better space now about it than I was when it just happened. So that's time. In episode 4, Healing Through Love, we sat down with my fiance, Sharik, and we had a chance to talk about what our journey has been like through the years of our relationship. How we've both seen one another grow and evolve over time, and how we're watching one another continue to evolve. Also, what we can look forward to in the future. It gave me an opportunity to reflect on the ways that I've been showing up in my relationship, what I haven't enjoyed and what I have enjoyed and what I want to do moving forward. But also it gave me a chance to hear him and his thoughts and his feelings about how the past 9 years have looked, especially how the past 4 years have looked as we've been with one another, but away from one another in the capacity of operating a store. That episode was really healing for both of us because it gave us a chance to sit down and just get to start a conversation about relearning one another. And I enjoy having the opportunity to share that with our community that's listening and watching, because for a long time, y'all didn't see us together in the same spaces whenever we would be places. We haven't had very much time to be together. And so I feel like you haven't known so many parts of him or had a chance to learn him, and what makes me love this man so much, because he hasn't been around as much. And now we have the opportunity to show up together in unity and do the things that we really love and enjoy. So we went on a trip to Colombia since the first episode to drop my mom off there because that's where she just moved to. And we had a chance to spend more time together than we have in a long time, between the navigating of all the airports and all the planes and all the parts of the trip, to getting back to our couples vlog that we started back in 2020, I think, to getting back to finding joyful experiences and things to do in places that we're unfamiliar with. It gave us an opportunity to sit with one another and just be together in a new place. And that was really beautiful. And I feel like the conversation that we had with you all, that you got to witness, helped us get there, helped us have something to talk about that we would be able to reflect on the trip. In episode 5, we had on Divinity Goddess, Dawn Douglas, my friend, who is a veteran, a Reiki master, a life insurance broker, a notary, so many things, but who is also a mother and a friend. I got to sit down with her and get to learn more about her experience navigating her life and what she's learned in the process on the journey, from being in the Air Force, a predominantly male, predominantly white institution, to then getting out of that, going into therapy, learning herself, finding passions and callings outside of what she even thought was possible for herself, because she remained open to it. She gave herself permission to go back to school when she was nearing 50 years old. She's constantly evolving. And that's an example of what I can do in the future, as I approach her age and beyond, to be able to continue to find my joy. When we ended that episode, she said she doesn't do anything that doesn't bring her joy. And that she prioritizes her peace. And that, to me, it resonated so much, because why can't I do that also? Why am I saying yes to things that I do not enjoy? Why am I putting things on the calendar that I do not enjoy? If I don't enjoy it, if it disrupts my peace, why would I do it? And so now I'm reflecting on the things in my day to day that don't bring me peace, that don't bring me joy. And I'm sitting with that and recognizing all the things that I say yes to that I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling it. I think it's time to switch it up, and giving myself permission to switch it up, to follow what feels right, to know that doing so will not take away anything that wasn't mine already. That conversation healed, I think, future jazz. It healed present jazz, but I think future jazz finds inspiration in that conversation as well. That's going to help us along the journey as we get to where we're going, and who knows how many changes will occur along the way. So, I think that was episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I miss anyone? Oh, Rev D. I think that was episode 4, Healing Through Church Hurt. Oh my God, y'all. I had to save the best for last. Clearly. Healing Through Church Hurt was such a powerful conversation. As the child that grew up in the Southern Baptist Church and spent up until like 15 years of my life in the church heavily, regularly, in some way, shape, or form, that conversation freed my inner child. It helped me understand why I believe so deeply in what I believe about people being able to practice whatever helps them feel most connected to spirit. I truly believe that there are multiple roads that will get us to the destination that we're looking for. There are multiple ways to get us there. And what Rev D talked about was decolonizing our minds to understand that there is more to spirit and connection to God, creator, universe, energy, whatever you want to call it. There is more than what we've been indoctrinated to believe. And if we decolonize our minds and we shift ourselves from the structures, the traditions, the beliefs, the ideologies that have been ingrained into us for all of our lives, we'll begin to get closer to spirit. We'll have a better understanding of ourself. We'll connect more with our ancestors. It frees us. It's liberation. It's permission to explore whatever path to spirit feels best for you. And coming from someone who has been such a pioneer in the world of spiritual healing, spiritual justice, social justice, that conversation is what I needed to hear, and what I think so many of you needed to hear as well. After we got off the mic, we had continued our conversation, and I have to have her back on the episode. We talked about what healing is and how justice is a major part of healing. I was talking about how I have a degree in criminal justice and I have a degree in political science. And I'm like, I'm not using any of that in the work that I'm doing. But in her episode, she said, God wastes nothing. There are no scraps. And we started talking about how there can be no healing work without the justice work. And my background and experience in criminal justice will tie in to the healing work that I'm doing and will be doing in the future. And I said, oh my God, I wish we got that part on the mic, but that's what I needed to hear. That's what I was reflecting on after that episode. Because I always say I don't have anything from my first degree to show that I got my first 2 degrees except for the student loans. And that's just not true. I have So many experiences, I have knowledge that can never be taken from me. And there's so many ways that I can't even fully envision right now that my life is going to use every single piece of my puzzle that I've put together so far in the future. I can't see it. I don't need to see it. I just need to be open to seeing it when it shows up, open to receiving it. And so now we've come to this episode, and I'm reflecting on what I've been experiencing since the beginning of this podcast, outside of the mic and the cameras, and what's been happening with me when I'm out and about, or just what I'm experiencing when I'm sitting with myself. I feel like today's episode is a lot easier for me to record than episode 1. And I think episode 1 was supposed to be hard. But I think episode 7, this is supposed to be reflective. This is supposed to be exactly what it is. And I'm comfortable here. I have a deeper sense of self. I have a deeper sense of appreciation and gratitude for where I've been. And I can't wait to see where I'm going. I'm starting to recognize more about myself. I'm recognizing the changes within me as I evolve, as I have more time to sit with myself and to be comfortable getting to know myself better. I'm recognizing that for a long time, I've shown up in ways that I feel were to prove my worth to others. I've said yes to things because I wanted people to be able to see me as capable. I've shown up doing things that I can do, but not always necessarily should do. And that had wiped me out. That had me burned out. I'm recognizing this now. Now that I'm stepping back and not saying yes to everything, I'm recognizing the different areas that I've lacked boundaries. I'm recognizing that I wasn't putting myself first always, and to what extent that was happening. Now when I'm going out, people are telling me that I look softer, that I look more rested and relaxed. Everywhere I go and I see folks that I know, you look so at peace, rested, soft. It kind of makes me want to ask, like, what was I looking like before? But I recognize, I know what they're saying. I know what they mean when they say that, and I feel the difference. I'm recognizing that for so long, hustle and grind were part of my identity. When people talk about me and hustle now, I kind of get the ick. My mom said today, like, you are such a go-getter. You're a hustler. You put in the work, like, and I said, ew, I don't like that. Please don't talk about me like that anymore. I don't want to be seen as the hustler. I want to be seen as someone that is well rested. I want to be seen as the soft girl with so much to give and so much to receive. I want to be seen as the healer, and through healing myself, allowing that to reflect outward, allowing everything, all the work internally to be reflecting outward on me. And I feel like it has already. I have started to reflect on my relationship with drive and ambition. And I recognize that I no longer want to identify as this ambitious hard worker. I'm not as ambitious as I projected myself to be. And I think that's okay. I'm recognizing that oftentimes we have an addiction to ambition, and that stops us from being grateful of what we have in the present moment. It stops us from being happy and fulfilled with what we have because we're constantly searching for and seeking more. But I recognize that more is not necessarily what I want. I don't want to have endless amounts of money and things and stuff. I want to live comfortably. So why should I push myself and hustle so hard like I'm trying to become the next Jeff Bezos when I'm just trying to live a life of joy and happiness? I just want what is comfortable for me to be able to live that life. So my relationship to ambition is changing too. I don't identify with that as strongly as I used to. I'm always looking to evolve and grow, but I also want to have gratitude for the moments that I'm in. I want to be able to sit with the joy that I'm experiencing right now, to be content with what I have, because what I have is what I have. And this deserves that pause, that acceptance, that joy. If this is what I have and I am comfortable here, I'm comfortable here. I don't need to do too much. That reflection for me has been huge in the past weeks, because I recognize that the work that I've been doing, the grinding, the going, the moving, the learning, the schooling, the everything I've been taking on is not necessarily because of my own ambition, but from a desire to prove to others that I'm capable of doing something that I already know I can do. So why am I saying yes to doing all of these things, putting on for all of these people, and putting their needs and wants and interests before my own? Do I not value myself enough? My self-worth was tied to my net worth. And when that happens, your self-worth goes down whenever the money fluctuates. But my self-worth has to be tied to how I see myself, which is why I feel like I'm able to show up better here now. Because I see myself as worthy, regardless of anything else. I see myself as deserving. I see myself healing. Like, I see myself changing actively in real time. And this is incredible. This is where my ambition has gone. I desire to just be the best me. And that starts within me, with how I feel about me. I've been back in the gym. I've been eating at home. We've been cooking together. We've been focusing on taking care of our bodies from the inside out, instead of trying to put on a look, wearing the brave face, putting on the mask, looking like everything is together as we do so well, and truly being honest with myself when things don't feel right. They're not right. Don't push it. Find what's out of alignment and fix that. Get that together. I'm spending time with myself from the inside out, and it's reflecting on the outside. As we move through this season and we have so many cool interviews lined up, and we interview all the folks that are coming on to sit with me. I want you to reflect on what you can take away from each of these episodes. Is there any type of permission you feel like you've received from these episodes? Is there anything you feel like you're still growing through, struggling with, that this may have helped you through? So many folks that have told me that they've been listening or watching the podcast have told me about how they've had to put stuff down. They've had to just sit down and sit still while they listen, because it's not one of those that you can kind of multitask and listen to. And I received that with my full heart. That's such an honor to know that you all are actually receiving from me sharing parts of my journey, from me introducing you all to some cool people that I know, that I've met along my journey. I want these episodes to mean as much to you as they do to me. I want you to receive. If you're spending your time listening to Healing in Progress, I want you to receive all that you need from that episode. I told Sharik I don't want this podcast to be work. I want it to be a passion project that I create because I enjoy speaking to my people, that I do because I know that there is healing in showing up hurt and allowing myself to heal in real time. I know that there is permission to be gained through hearing the experiences of others that aren't often talked about. I want this podcast to be one of joy, of transformation, but I don't want it to be work. I'm not signing up for more work, but I want this to be an opportunity for us to both grow. I'm learning different parts of myself just by having these conversations. He's learning different parts of himself by engineering the episodes, by producing the episode and what that looks like. And we've learned so much along the way to get to this episode 7. All of your feedback, all of your comments, all of your love, it really resonates with us because we are putting our hearts into this. So we love hearing it. If you have any thoughts, if you have any questions or comments you want to share or you want me to talk about, please bring them. If you have any guests you would like me to bring on to talk about whatever topics, please let us know, because that's what we want this to be. We want this to be an opportunity for you all to learn as much as it is you need to learn. Whatever resonates for you to receive, for you to be poured into, the way that it's pouring into me. I can't wait to have these next conversations with these next folks. I'm so grateful to have this platform and this opportunity to speak to you all, to be loved, to be heard, to be felt. And I can't wait to know what you receive from the episodes coming up. So until next time, remember, healing starts when you stop pretending that you don't need it. This is Healing in Progress.